Hello everyone, today we're looking at 007, The World Is Not Enough. So it's really funny, again, as I was saying in my GoldenEye review, a lot of people consider that to be the preeminent James Bond game, the iconic one, especially on the N64, but I think a lot of people don't really know about The World Is Not Enough. This, to me, is an improvement in every single way. It's much more fun, it's much better, and it's just better designed in almost every way. What I love about it is also, the graphical style. There's a lot more details in this one. The environments are much more, detailed. The weapons, the reload animations, you have a much wider array of just crazy weapons that you can use at your disposal. I remember there's this really cool part where you have to use the laser on the watch to cut through a bunch of iron doors, and that always stuck with me for some reason. There's also, so this game, follows roughly the, story of the movie with some extended scenes and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's pretty much about, Reznov and, getting the submarine, launch codes and that kind of stuff. And so in the opening mission, you have to, pretend to rob a bank, basically, to get certain information. So the story isn't really the main component because you can always kind of do it later. I think the one thing they did add is this, they really extended this section where he has to go to these docks and there's this giant helicopter with a giant blade attached to it. And so that whole segment of the movie is like 2 whole levels in this game. So obviously they do some stretching here and there as they should and as they need to. Again, I just love how this game is presented and animated. It just feels a lot better than GoldenEye, frankly. I mean, GoldenEye laid the groundwork for a lot of this stuff, but I feel like most of the things in this story, or in this game rather, feel really, really good. The pickup sounds, this is, submachine gun sounds, audio design, everything feels really, really good. And everything that was great in GoldenEye is much better here. But again, I think people just sleep on it or they don't know about this one. Anyway, this was my James Bond game growing up. And what I really like about it is each level has its own small little challenge. Of course you have to go shoot the guys, but then there's going to be one level where you have you're on a boat, or you have a decoy mission, or you need to essentially take out a certain number of terminals. I don't know, this just feels so much more well-rounded, and the ending is super frustrating and interesting because, of course, the final level takes place in a submarine, so it's close quarters combat and it's very difficult, and you have the final kind of fight with Renard. So even today, despite this game kind of being aged or whatever, I would say that the way the game is made just works really well. And I think for the longest time as a kid, I thought this was GoldenEye, but I was very much mistaken, obviously. What I also like about this game is that a lot of weapons had alternative fire modes or toggle modes, so you could turn certain pistols into machine pistols and things like that. And of course, you use the red reticle or the right button rather, to move the reticle around the environment. And so instead of having, aiming up and down, that's how you would basically align. And then usually your cursor would auto lock onto enemies. And that kind of became a very large standard going forward, that, this isn't Counter-Strike. You don't have to be super accurate. As long as you're facing in their general direction, it'll automatically lock on. Similar to Doom when you have enemies that are very far away. Definitely one of my favorite levels in this game is the skiing/snow level when you're on rails, and it's kind of like a shooter, almost like a Star Fox. That just feels like a lot of fun, and it's just very cool how it operates. Besides that, I remember the one level that I had no idea how to beat as a kid was the nuclear reactor, because what happens in this scenario is that essentially you have to basically, melt down the reactor, fight through it and whatever. But what ends up happening is that in order to escape the blast, there's this caution sign that's hanging from the ceiling, and I never understood that I'm supposed to do what you see in the movie, which is that he literally has to jump onto it and it propels you forward. But I kept redoing that sequence over and over and over again, not really supposed to jump on the bright yellow thing as a kid, and that drove me absolutely insane. So obviously I beat the game much later in my life, but I do remember that scene very, very fondly because I failed it time and time again, not knowing what I was supposed to do. And again, I felt that the multiplayer in this game was much more developed than in GoldenEye. You have a lot more modes like King of the Hill and whatever, and just a lot more different weapon loadouts. I guess this would be the framework for what would become, I suppose, Nightfire. At least Nightfire seems to borrow a lot of multiplayer components from this game. And so you have certain, loadouts that are, close quarters or cloak and dagger, and a bunch of other stuff like that as well. And I forgot this game also has stealth segments where you're basically sneaking around using X-ray vision and your like stun gun on your watch to basically take out guys and punch them out. Definitely very cool. And there's also stealth section of the game where you use a crossbow and also your stun gun. But yeah, overall, I would feel this is probably the best old school Bond game that has been made. And yeah, it's still good today, so I definitely give it a shot. Anyway, with that being said, I'll see you guys later. Bye.